Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jessie, and welcome back to another episode of Rewired to Inspire. The show where we'll dive into self-love, learn tangible ways to rewire the brain, and discovering your soul's purpose. The goal of Rewired to Inspire is to encourage listeners to begin doing the hard work, to get curious and open to maximizing your life. Our mindset shapes how we live. Depending on life events, traumas, and personal experiences, our mindsets are all vastly different. However, one thing we all have in common is the ability to rewire our mind, to change the narrative, and to pivot our lives. I hope you leave each episode with the belief that you are so worthy to live a life true to you. I look forward to chatting with you every single Tuesday and Thursday and helping you grow exponentially in all areas of your life. Without further ado, here's today's episode. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to my podcast, Rewired to Inspire. I am your host, Jessie Brown, and I am thrilled to be jumping on the mic with you all today. If you've never tuned in before or this is your first time, I welcome you with open arms. If you're coming back for another episode, thank you so much for coming back and for tuning in for every single episode. As always, it means the absolute world to me to know that you guys are consistently tuning in and enjoying this content. This truly is just so in alignment for me and something I'm so thankful every day that I started. So just knowing that this journey is just getting started and is growing every single day is just so beyond exciting and so much more fulfilling than you guys can ever imagine. And I couldn't do it without the help of all you guys. So I just wanted to start off by saying thank you. And today's episode for number 55, today is an episode that I really want to get down to the nitty gritty of where this concept came from for me. And so I recently joined group coaching, as I've chatted about on here before, with Next Level University. And I also just recently joined their team, which is so freaking amazing and exciting. And within that journey, I've had one-on-one coaching with Alan where I've already unpacked so much just realizations and so many mirrors in my life and just so many things that I never really thought of before or never really had the awareness of before. And there was one concept in particular that came up, and that came up during group coaching, that came up during a monthly meetup. And that concept is that we can't grow without pain. And that we live in a society that has really formed a negative relationship with pain by thinking that having pain is a bad thing. And we often want to push pain aside because with pain means that we have to sit with uncomfortableness. But what I'm learning through my own personal experiences and also just through witnessing other people's experiences is that we cannot grow without pain. We cannot evolve without pain. We cannot develop new awareness without failing forward and without having pain and suffering. And I think that we live in a society that views that as such a negative thing that really in retrospect, we're holding ourselves back incredibly deeply, because if we just feel like without pain we can grow, and we feel like without suffering and failing we can evolve, we are really telling ourselves a false truth. And so for today's episode, I really want to dive into my own experience with pain, how that's helped me grow, but also to give you guys some points on ways that pain can lead to growth. Because if we want to grow and become the absolute highest version of ourselves, and we want to make an impact and make a difference, and we're striving towards success and towards our goals, we have to remember that we can't just jump from 0 to 100. We have to take small incremental steps to get there, and those steps often or will force us to have pain. They will force us to be uncomfortable. They will force us to face challenges from the past that we have suppressed. And my message and goal for today is for you guys to begin to get comfortable sitting with that pain and beginning to deepen your relationship with it. I want you to ask yourself in this moment, what do you think your relationship with pain is? And I think I need to give $1 for every time I say that word on today's episode, but that is today's theme. And I want you guys to sit with where you're at with that. What is your relationship with being uncomfortable? What is your relationship with failing, quote unquote? What is your relationship with wanting things to go a certain way and them going in a different direction? Do you allow that to persevere you forward with new awareness, or does that cause you to turtle shell and to want to hide and to give up? right? And so I want to go through the framework that was taught to me about pain and growth, give some personal experiences, and then dive into ways that pain can lead to. And so the framework that was taught to us was basically micro failure for massive growth. And so in that framework, it basically takes you through, if you're having belief, you're going to take action. With action, you're likely going to fail, quote unquote, which is going to give you pain. So basically, when we have the belief that we can do something and we go for it, so let's just give an example. Myself with my podcast, I had somewhat of a belief that I could record a podcast and publish it because I did it and because I slowly over time built that belief. But also with that, I failed multiple times during this journey, and I will till the infinity of when I'm done my podcast, which in my mind is never, but I will always experience quote unquote failures and letdowns. But the framework basically says that with that failure, you get pain. With that pain leads to contemplation, because when we have pain, it basically gives us an instance to be able to contemplate what went wrong, what went right, what needs to shift. And when we're in that growth mindset and we're able to ask ourselves those questions, that will then lead to new awareness, which will then lead to better choices, which will then lead to a better result. So if we back that up, we cannot have better results without pain, because the only way to get new awareness is through trial and error. But we live in a society that views pain and learning and evolving as a bad thing. We view that as an uncomfortableness. So how can we shy away from that? Right? I see these programs all the time of like 6-minute abs and like do this thing for 30 days and you'll be a millionaire, or just read this book and all your life's problems will go away. Right? Everything in our world is trying to rip away the pain and uncomfortability, but we need to form a better relationship with that uncomfortability, because that is when we grow. If you even think about your life and experiences that you've had, it's often through those experiences that you've gained new awareness that you now either preach in your life, you practice in your life, you're very passionate about. If you tap into the things that you're super passionate about, it often comes from an underlying pain of something that you care about, right? My mission is to share my voice and intuition to the world to create a safe space for mental health. Because for me, that wasn't always the case. I had a lot of pain around mental health. I had a lot of pain around inner child and around becoming the best version of yourself. But because I sat with that pain and asked myself what that was trying to teach me, I was able to get new awareness, therefore to take action, and therefore to make better choices to get better results. Remember, we cannot grow without pain, because if we have no pain or obstacles, what do we have to learn from? And I think that even in that framework, that just goes to show why staying in our comfort zone is like the worst thing that we can do. And if you speak to anybody with a growth mindset, they will tell you that they almost have some form of addiction with getting outside of your comfort zone, because getting outside of your comfort zone means that you're forcing yourself to do things differently, to trial and error, to take the less beaten path. And so within that, you're getting new awareness and you're able to implement that. So just remember that whatever your relationship is with pain, ask yourself maybe where that's coming from. How long have you felt that way? Why do you shape that relationship around pain? Because maybe something in your life has shaped that for you more than you even realize. Maybe there was a part of your childhood that you wanted to just run away from, and so you've formed a negative association with taking risks means I might get hurt. But how can we begin to rewire your brain, rewire your thought process to be not that with pain I'm going to be less than, but through pain I can evolve and become the best version of myself. So I hope that lands for you guys. And like I said, I'm going to go through 5 ways that pain can lead to growth, because I just think that having this new awareness for myself has honestly flicked on a light for me that has been off for so long. And I didn't realize how much my pain has caused me to grow until I took a step back and I really realized it and embodied that for myself and just told myself I'm proud of myself for honestly all the crap that I've been through that's led me to where I am, because without those experiences, I wouldn't be as passionate as I am about things, and I wouldn't be as eager to come on here and share that with you guys. So know that that pain and things that you've gone through and things that you will go through are honestly huge pieces of the puzzle that are going to shape you into the best next version of yourself if you so choose to allow them to. So my first way that pain can lead to growth is kind of in the framework that I just shared. So pain forces us to contemplate, which gives us new awareness. And so I was sitting there and I was trying to think of an example for this, and quite a few surfaced, but one of the biggest ones that surfaced for me for an example is thinking back to how badly my friends used to treat me, and just how belittling they were, and how much I just sat with that because I just thought that that's all that I deserved. And it was better to have friends around that made me feel crummy than to have no friends and to be lonely. And so I finally decided a few months back that I was just going to cut ties with certain relationships and just sit with being alone. Sit with the uncomfortability and the pain of being by myself. And through that, I was able to contemplate on why it is that I'm feeling that way, what it is that I deserve more of, what new awareness do I have about myself and about friendships that I'm now able to implement into friendships that are going to be coming into my life now. Right? And so that allowed me to have a new awareness for myself of where I was. But had I not sat with that pain of not having friends and sat through that pain of breaking those ties, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to create and to contemplate why it is I was feeling that way, what it is I want more of in my life, and to create that new awareness. And furthermore down this, I wanted to just define what pain is, because I've probably said that word 200 times so far in this. We're only at 11 minutes, which is so funny, but I really wanted to define what pain is, because I don't mean, and it can be physical pain, but I mean more so uncomfortability. And so I sat this morning trying to define what I want that to mean. And what I landed on was, my definition of pain is any uncomfortable feeling, either derived from yourself or from the outside world, that causes you to either push forward, in retrospect to contemplate, or to turtle shell, meaning to withdraw. Right? So it's an uncomfortable feeling from self or the outside world that causes you to push forward or to self-retract. And so I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind, with that being the first way that pain can lead to growth. It causes you to contemplate. It causes you to take a step back and to think. Are you going to allow a situation, if you're contemplating, to push you forward and give you new awareness and give yourself what you deserve? Or are you going to cause that to bring up shame and to cause you to protect yourself? Because we all likely have a direction in which we go. And for a long time, I did the self-retraction. I did the turtle shell. I did the keeping myself small. And it's very new for me, now that I have new awareness, to be able to use that to push me forward. And so one question that I always like to ask myself in times of pain, unsureness, frustration, whatever, is, what is this trying to teach me? Because there will always be pain in life. There will always be situations that we wish weren't going the way that they are. We wish that things were different. We shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? We just want things to be different. Why didn't that person do that? Why did I do that? Why did I take this job? Why did I, whatever? And so asking yourself, what is this trying to teach me, allows you to just reframe in your mind and gives your mind the opportunity to reflect of, okay, this terrible thing might have happened, but what can I take away from it? What can I take away from this situation so maybe other people don't have to feel that way? Again, in retrospect, new awareness. Our awareness is contagious because we're able to take our lessons and teach that onto other people. But if we just allow that to turtle shell us or to shut us down, we're really hurting ourselves twice. Because if we feel the pain and then we shut down, we're causing ourselves to shut down twice. And this takes time and this takes conscious effort. And that's why I'm so passionate about this topic, because we all have the ability, again, to rewire our brain, to view pain as almost an exciting thing. When we are able to get comfortable sitting in uncomfortability, that is when you will grow, right? And so in order to grow your outlook on pain, your outlook on pain needs to shift. That is basically what the first point is. My second point and way that pain can lead to growth is that pain encourages change, which propels us to grow. Because when we encounter failure or loss, we're forced to reflect on our choices, our decisions, and ourselves. And when we're able to lower our ego and just embrace humility, that is when we will grow. It's the ability to pivot your approach with new awareness, right? And so that sentence, pain encourages change, which propels us to grow, right? And again, that is with the conscious ability to tell ourselves that we want it to allow us to grow. If we've already allowed something to hurt us and we just have that mentality of, I just am deserving of this, this is what was meant to happen to me, whatever, we will get stuck in that mindset. And so we will find all the ways to believe that that is possible, right? Remember how I said in the beginning with that framework, it starts with belief. If you have no belief that you are worthy of more, pain will always be a negative thing. And I think that we build that association from such a young age because we think that if we don't have the proof or we've held on to an identity of something for so long, we are not going to take action, therefore proving to ourselves something. And so pain encourages change because it gives us new awareness. It causes us to, if we did something one way and it didn't go the way we wanted or caused us to get hurt or caused us to fail, it gives us the awareness to change and to shift that, to do it differently next time, which is huge, which is going to allow us to grow further, right? I've done things on this podcast that now looking back, I'm like, eek, I shouldn't have done that, right? But at the time I didn't have the awareness of that, and I felt the pain and I sat through it and I asked myself, what is this trying to teach me? To pivot and to change and to now do something different with a higher level of awareness. So that is my second point for you guys on why and how pain can lead to growth, is because pain encourages change, which propels us to grow. And so I found this quote that I think really ties up the second point perfectly. And it's said by, it's such a funny name. I hope I don't mispronounce it, but basically their name is Haruki Hamakami. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but their quote is beautiful. It says, when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. And that is what the storm is all about. And I just think there's such a deeper rooted meaning to that quote, right? When you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person that walked in. But that's what the storm is all about. That is what life is all about. It's about how can we persevere through experiences? How can we allow when life, it's that simple quote, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. When life is trying to veer you off your path, is trying to challenge you, it's often because there's a deeper rooted lesson in that. There's a deeper rooted learning in that you are supposed to learn, or the universe wouldn't have put that on your path in the first place. But when we just have that mentality of, I'm deserving of that, or we catastrophize, or we just feel like, again, we're deserving of that, that can really bring about a lot of shame. And shame is like the worst thing for taking action, because if we have shame about something and we think we're deserving of something, we aren't going to take the steps to rewire that and make that differently, therefore proving to ourselves over and over again that we are deserving of that. And so I just loved that quote and wanted it to share with you guys. The third way that pain can help you grow is that pain drives us to seek resources. And oh my goodness, I love this one so stinking much. Because failure, quote unquote, or difficult experiences can really be humbling, and they can really, really humble us and humble our life if we allow it to. That's the difference, if we allow it to. And in retrospect, that uncomfortableness is your body's way of communicating, right? When we, quote unquote, fail, or we have a difficult experience and it humbles us, it causes us to feel super uncomfortable, right? Because that's our natural human tendency to protect ourselves. And if we feel like something has affected us, we feel seen. And sometimes feeling seen isn't safe, right? Even thinking of ancestrally, if we had to protect ourselves against a prey outside and we felt seen and vulnerable, what does that mean? That means we want to shut down. We want to hide. We want to run away. We don't want to face that straight on, because that's scary and that could potentially overwhelm us. But my message for you all today is, if you're feeling those uncomfortable feelings, know that that's your body's way of communicating something with you. Because we all respond to situations differently, because we've all experienced things in life differently. And so of course we're going to react all in different ways. But if we're able to just sit with that and ask ourselves, what is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to tell me? We're able to get to deeper rooted feelings and underlying things that might be going on. And the reason I put this one on here of being able to seek outside resources is because I think that until you do sit with it and you're getting able to get more comfortable sitting with the pain, you're then able to seek outwards. Because if we have that shame, we don't want to tell anybody that we feel that way. We don't want to open up to anybody that we feel less than, that we feel hurt, that we feel seen, that we failed, right? We want to protect that with all of our might. But if we're able to grow and to feel pain, that's gonna force us to seek external resources. And so I know for me personally, for a long time, I had a lot of shame around my personal development because I had taken kind of the back seat for myself for a while because I had some hard truths come into my life and I just really reverted back into my shell. And one day when I reached back out to Next Level University and I joined group coaching and I started getting around them again, I started to just learn so many things that I wouldn't have learned had I kept in my shell. And because I got around other like-minded people and people that I aspired to be like and people that I was envious of and people that just helped me see so much more potential in life, it caused me to come out of my shell quicker, right? And I think we often don't want to admit that our failures and pains, we don't want to admit that to ourselves, yet alone to others, right? We want to protect ourselves. But without being able to humble ourselves and learn, we'll keep making the same mistake over and over again. And that is, again, why I think going to therapy is so amazing and crucial, because we're able to have those mirrors of self-reflection. But it's, again, our instinct to protect ourselves. But with pain that leads to growth, it drives us to seek resources that then perpetuates us to have higher level of awareness. Even listening to this podcast, I'm sharing reflections with you guys of things that I didn't know X amount of years ago, but now that I've felt pain and got new awareness, I am now able to share that with you guys through this resource. And so finding those resources for you, right? Think about when you're a kid, or think about your children, or just when we're younger. Whenever we get hurt or we failed or whatever it was, we would seek parental care. We would seek guidance. Right? Because when we felt a certain type of way and we didn't know the answer, we would search for mom, search for dad, search for our caregiver to give us those answers. But as we grow up, we begin to put this armor on as if we're just supposed to have everything figured out and we're just supposed to be okay with it and we're just supposed to toughen up. And especially men, I think men just feel like they're just supposed to deal with their emotions and suppress them, and that's just how they're supposed to feel. But what if with pain and growing and developing new awareness, we're able to expand resources and we're able to expand our community and we're able to expand just having that reassurance of things in alignment, because we all need community. We all need that sense of being seen and validated. But if we're so stuck in that pain is negative and that we feel like a failure, we're never going to seek that to be able to learn from other people and vice versa, right? We need to relearn that if it's okay to do it as kids, in fact, it's wired within us to do it as kids, knowing that doesn't have to go away, right? And again, that showed up huge for me with the NLU team, because now I'm able to get hard truths and ask for guidance from folks that are strides ahead of me in an area that I want to grow in. But if I just felt like a failure and if I wanted to keep protecting myself, I would have never gotten around the community, never gotten on the team, never gotten these hard truths and awarenesses. And so it drives us to just be resourceful and seek answers within the fog, because if we're able to just wander lost but have faith that we'll get to something, that's going to push us so much more than just wanting to protect ourselves and staying stagnant. I really, really hope that landed for you guys, because that one was one that I really visualized in my head but is kind of hard to explain, right? But basically just that with growth, it allows us to have new awareness, and it's what we do with that new awareness that matters. So that is my third point. My fourth point for you guys is that it allows us to give permission to those around us to grow. And this is one that I love, because growth and just setting the status quo for those around us, especially those in alignment, is one of the best things that we can do, because I think we live in a world that we often compare our day one, our beginning of something, to somebody who's on day 100. And when we do that, we think that it's just going to come easily. And when we compare ourselves to other people's end results, we're thinking that it's just going to be easy. And so therefore, every time something hard happens, we just think that we're doing something wrong or something's wrong with us. Right? And again, going back to the example of like the 6-minute abs or just like those quick fix things, you're going to be very much in a shock when you go to do that and you realize that after a week, you don't have a 6-pack. Nothing in life comes easily. Nothing in life comes without pain and suffering and sacrifice, or at least no good things, right? No good things just come easy, or we would all have a 6-pack and be millionaires laying on the beach, right? There's a reason that those programs are designed, and it's because psychologically, these people know that you're going to gravitate to that because it's what we want to hear. We want to hear that things are easy. We want to hear that it's super easy to get rich. We want to hear it's super easy to get fit. We want to hear it's super easy to just turn your life around. But in retrospect, it is so not, and it's so unbelievably lonely, painful, and difficult, right? And if we only ever show our success, and social media does a really good job at this for us, where we just see people's glorified life. And so we go back to our own lives feeling crummy because we're comparing somebody's profile to our worst states, which is really extremely detrimental to ourselves and to our mental health. And so if we're able to embrace that pain, that's going to allow us to grow, which is going to give permission to those around us to also grow, right? That's contagious. If I'm able to ricochet this onto other people around me that, hey, doing 1 episode a week of podcasting was extremely challenging, and I had to be extremely, extremely disciplined to get that done. Even right now, I am literally recording in my grandparents' trailer. My partner is outside with my dog, and we're camping at my parents' house, but I knew I had to get this done. Did I want to jump on the mic once I get on here? Absolutely. I love it. But in retrospect, no. I want to be hanging out with my family. I want to be having fun in the woods. I want to go down to the river. But I know that without this discipline and without this pain, I will not get the results that I want in my life. And that is going to be contagious to those around me of, okay, she's really taking this thing seriously. Where in my life am I letting myself off the hook too easily? Right? We are so good at pushing pain away for instant comfortability. I'll go to the gym later because right now I just want to lay on the couch. Right? I'll eat healthy tomorrow. Let's just eat the junk food today. We push away pain, which in retrospect then causes that pain to be worse and more intense because it's been amplified and compounded over time. And so that is my 4th point, is it allows you to give permission to those around you to grow. And again, my mission for my podcast is to use my voice and intuition to reframe the globe's narrative around mental health, inner child work, and having a fixed mindset. That is my mission. That is what I want to share to the world. But I'm never going to sugarcoat that mental health is an easy thing to deal with, that inner child work is an easy path to go down, right? That having a fixed mindset is an easy thing to switch. I will never tell you guys that something is going to be easy because I would be lying. And I want to give that permission to you guys to sit with that pain. Sit with the uncomfortability. Listen to your body and the emotions that come up when you feel unsettled. Because within that, there's room to grow and there's room to evolve and there's room to become the next best version of yourself to then teach that and ricochet that onto other people. So allowing pain and growth to influence and to give permission to those around you. Ask yourself if you find yourself telling other people that things are just easy, things just come naturally. Oh, you should be able to do that because blank, blank, blank. But what if that isn't easy for that person? And also remembering that maybe the things that are easy for you today felt impossible 5 years ago. So never losing touch with that and coming from a place of heart-centered when sharing that with people instead of ego-driven because you've gotten so good at things over time. My 5th point is another one that I really hope lands for you guys because as I was brainstorming this one, it just caused me to have a couple blocks on how I want to frame this. So I'm going to try my best here to help this land. But my fifth point of why pain helps us lead to growth and why that's so crucial is because without pain, we can't adapt to new situations. So as I was thinking about this point, kind of a couple examples came up. And so basically, I want you to think of like an animal in the wild, like thousands of years ago, right? Or think of humans long time ago when we had to protect ourselves from predators. In those instances, there would have been a lot of people that were harmed by animals because they did not have the awareness and the pain to protect themselves. But over time, as humans witnessed this happening, we began to learn and adapt of patterns of which ways we were harmed. And so we were able to adapt to that by maybe changing how we armor ourselves, changing our shelter, changing where we expose ourselves to. And so we were able to get that new awareness. And so we were able to shift that to create a new reality moving forward. But without that pain, it's largely impossible to adapt to new situations. And another example that came up for me with this was, imagine you start a new job. And let's just say you're bottom of the chain. Let's just say you're the admin or whatever. And this isn't downplaying any positions, just to make this land, hopefully. So let's just say you're the admin at a company. And let's say you very, very quickly get bumped up to the top of the line. You are now the CEO. You are running this company. But you have not learned the backbone of the company. You have not learned the numbers. You have not learned their mission, their vision, right? Maybe who their partners are. Maybe the long-term goals, maybe projects that are going on, and you're just going in blindsided. Chances are you're going to fail hard. You're going to feel like a failure. You're going to feel like you did something wrong. You're going to feel like you're not good enough. You're going to feel like, you're not capable of this. But in retrospect, it's just because you jumped from 0 to 100 so quickly that you didn't get the awareness in between that to grow to be the best fit for that position. It's not that you're not worthy of that or capable of that. It's just that in that moment, you did not have the awareness for that. And so without pain, we can't adapt to new situations. Without suffering and new awareness, how are we supposed to ever evolve into new situations? How are we ever able to step into that? For myself, even this podcast, as I mention all the time, 3 years ago, I couldn't even speak in front of one person, yet alone jumping on here now listened to in over 20 countries globally around the world. That to me would have completely disrupted and overwhelmed my system. And so the thing with pain is that it's slowly, incrementally exposing ourselves to things that we know are going to get us outside of our comfort zone, but aren't going to be detrimental to our lives, right? Because there's a difference between getting outside of our comfort zone and our anxiety zone. Our anxiety zone are those things that just completely disrupt us, would completely just overwhelm our system and honestly cause us to shut down even more. Our comfort zone, when we get out of it, it's uncomfortable, but we're able to get new awareness to shift so that eventually it is comfortable. And so I think oftentimes we think of situations just like the assistant to the CEO example, where we think that we're just supposed to jump and figure it out and it's all going to be okay. But without the pain of each step of a journey and each step of the way, we will not be able to adapt to new situations. We need to be exposed to things slowly, incrementally, but also, as I said in the beginning, be able to contemplate what that pain is trying to teach you. So that is my fifth point for you guys. And I really hope that these land. And I know that this is a different concept for even myself. This was kind of a framework that has been newly introduced into my life. But I just get so frustrated when I hear that we're just so good at suppressing our emotions and just pretending like everything's okay. And our society has formed such a negative correlation with being uncomfortable. And I just can't help but sit here and recognize the disadvantage of that. Because I know that without pain and without contemplation and without getting new awareness, we will just do the same things over and over and over and over again. But I also know that through pain comes greatness. Through pain comes infinite success if we want it to. But we have to lower our ego and be humble enough to take realities from ourselves and of the situation, and also from those outside of us that have higher awareness in certain arenas. being willing and open to learn from those who are ahead of you, knowing that you are not always right. You do not always have the answers, but that is okay. We are not meant to have all the answers. That is what makes life such a beautiful journey. So I truly hope that today's episode landed for you guys. And I just want you to leave today and just ask yourself, what is your relationship with pain? How much does it disrupt you when you feel like you've quote unquote failed? When there's a bump in the road, do you keep going with a flat tire and allow it to slow you down? Or do you stop for a moment, change the tire, get new awareness of which potholes to avoid to then make a smoother path for yourself? I truly, truly hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I plan to do so much more content just in this realm. My mission has changed, my outlook has changed, my ambition has changed, and I just have such a bigger vision for this podcast than I could have ever even imagined a year ago beginning this, because this week marks the second week of September. We are now 1 year into doing this journey, and I just have so many big visions and goals that I can just promise you that I did not have at the beginning of this, and those rose through pain and uncomfortability. And I hope that you can get comfortable feeling that pain, because with all the love in my heart, you deserve to feel that to develop a new sense of awareness. Thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning into today's episode. I would absolutely love if you felt pulled to share this with someone that you think would enjoy, someone you think could benefit. I am just so excited to continue to share content with you guys, continue to raise our world's vibe, and to just break the stigma that is associated with growth, mental health, and all of the above. Thank you guys so much. All the love from my heart to yours. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I look forward to chatting with you next episode. Bye, you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Rewire to Inspire. I absolutely love connecting with you all, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. I am at JessieBrown13. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to leave a review or share with someone you think would enjoy. I look forward to chatting with you all next episode. And remember, get out of your head and into your heart.